about this episode. Like, okay, so right out of the gate, obviously the big thing to talk about is the gathering of all the major players, Luffy, Zoro, Law, Kid, and Killer on the top of the roof of Onigashima, facing down who you could really only describe as the Titans of the New World, Big Mom and Kaido, which I have to say, just the way that scene was set up, the way it was built up, and just overall staged, honestly made the whole experience, in my opinion, vastly superior to the manga. Yes, I know I said that right. Like, whatever I have to say about the rest of the episode, that ending moment alone is the kind of thing that's the kind of thing that makes One Piece great. That just gets your adrenaline pumping, gets you hyped, and honestly, seriously, makes me question just what the fuck we're in for with these next couple episodes. And Toei, cheap shot using an instrumental version of We Are. Like, I know you like using that, but cheap shot nonetheless. Now, obviously, granted, the tempo of that excitement is probably going to hit a bit of a speed bump by the fact that there's a filler episode next week, but yeah, after that, like, just what kind, this is one of those episodes that makes you have to question if this episode was as insane as it was, like art, animation, all that shit being on point as it was, just what kind of insanity are we in for? Is like in the next couple episodes, like in the next couple episodes after the filler episode, like that's kind of the core question I'm asking right now. Because if this episode is any indication, this shows that the Toei's kind of prepared to throw everything at the moment in One Piece history simply known as Roof Piece. After that speed bump, when we get back to the canon material, I think we're going to be. I'm not going to say it's all going to be great, but I think we are going to get a very really good, consistently amazing amount of episodes, honestly. And I don't think anyone, even myself, is prepared for even just the initial portions of this fight we're going to get. But beyond that, just seeing Luffy face down Big Mom and Kaido, reaffirming his desire to defeat them and become the king after seeing Kinemon and the others like barely holding on. That's just the stuff that One Piece is made of. It just made me get out of my chair and just scream and shout at the fucking wall, the ceiling, all that shit. And you really do feel for Kinemon in that moment, because he was prepared to die, but Kaido still kind of inevitably spared him, more or less, as we see. And yeah, it's like it is kind of a hurt on his pride, but ultimately he says that Luffy at this point is the only one who can carry. Luffy really is the only one at this point who can carry like the Wano on his shoulders, like Wano's freedom. And yeah, but now, if I did have one little problem with this episode another little problem with this episode to talk about, it's been a while, but is it just me? But don't get me wrong. As epic as Luffy going like Red Hawk mode or whatever the hell that was at the end of the episode, is it just me, or did the episode kind of spoil Luffy's level of control with Luffy's level of control with Ro get spoiled when he went in for that like flaming punch aimed for Kaido? Like, I could be wrong, but I could have sworn that the whole like Ro thing wasn't made like an official reveal until much later in the fight with Kaido. But I could be wrong, and I could be wrong, but I could have also sworn that's something that wasn't supposed to be revealed yet. But I don't know, maybe it's just me. But again, aside from that one issue, the episode itself, it was just amazing. With that said, the rest of the episode is pretty much Ace and Yamato focused, which I'm not gonna lie, did slow the pace down maybe a little more than what was necessary. But on the other hand, the way that the episode visually reimagined like Sabo's speech to Ace and Luffy on the cliff, and even more so like how Yamato herself visually perceives these events playing out as well, and as well as what Luffy and Sabo represent in her mind, was like all beautifully done. Like, I'm not even sure what like artistic techniques that the animators even used. If it was like in that like dream visual sequence of Yamato's, whether it was like watercolors or something else, but just the whole scene of Yamato and Vision, Luffy and Roger saying the exact same words, and her not only coming to the realization about Luffy in the present, but also like seeing the parallel of how even though Whitebeard and Oden kind of doubted Roger, we see Ace and Sabo pushing him forward. Like it all felt like a painting in motion, which I know I just described like what animation is, but this episode just feels like it took it to that literal sense, and Toei went above and beyond. I think what was necessary with a lot of this episode, and giving each moment and scene each moment and scene its own like its own stylistic look and appeal apart from any other scene in the episode. And honestly, even looking beyond that, the little things about this episode were amazingly done. Like I've very rarely talked about lighting in a One Piece episode, but just adding spots of light here and there, as well as some shadows, really set the mood and tone of the episode as well. Like especially working, giving Big Mom and Kaido even more of a reason why we should fear them. Hopefully the anime actually fixes that, like that as an actual reality rather than like a face value thing. But yeah, just like the way the lighting was done, casting those large heavy shadows on Kaido and Big Mom, making them look absolutely sinister. That was just amazing. And then to contrast it, we have Luffy just coming in with the blasts of light, the blasts of color, when he punches through the roof, and as well as that shot of Luffy, like as well as the shot afterwards of him punching Kaido and putting on his hat. Like again, every scene just had spots of light, spots of color. It was just this was a very stylized episode, more than any other One Piece episode I've watched up to this point, honestly. And yeah, it's a very nice little detail and interesting twist of fate that ultimately the Viva card that Ace gave to Luffy was given to him by Yamato. And even though it was initially used to help Luffy try and rescue Ace, and it burned after his death, the same connection still kind of ties all three of them together in this moment. And yet, just like with Luffy, it is interesting to see Yamato's perspective and how, just like with Luffy, she also had her own moment of anguish upon learning of Ace's death, but it's also thanks to Ace's words and Oden's promise that kept her going forward, continuing to oppose her father up to this point, and just waiting for the day that Luffy would arrive. And now, in the present, that day has finally come. So yeah, a nice little bit of a nice kind of change of perspective in terms of how Ace's death had affected her as well. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much all I got for this amazing episode. What else can I say? If you enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe. Follow me on Twitter, Analyst Crunchyroll. Be sure to hit the notification bell, the subscribe button, and just share the video around, guys. Dark Knight of Anime, signing off. Later, everyone.